Power to the truth. This is Untitled Aztlán, transmitting from Sacramento, Sacramento, California. Today I saw on the internet the commemoration for our beloved brother Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and it was a good commemoration. Of course, President Obama spoke. That was historic. Before that, Dolores Huerta spoke briefly. So I guess Chicanos, Latinos got their token spot. Looking at the situation in general, we got a long ways to go. Flashing back on the civil rights era, I remember those days. I'm 61 Earth years now, and I got hip and aware at a pretty young age. So I remember on TV, you only had black and white back then. At least in our household. I remember the marches, the demonstrations, the dogs, the hoses, and the brutality against black people who were protesting. And I remember when Martin Luther King was killed. And the black civil rights movement and in general the black liberation movement have been great inspirations for me. And I was in the Brown Berets. I was in a lot of different organizations over the years. I started out volunteering with in support of what's now known as the United Farm Workers Union, which was led by Cesar Chavez. And a lot has happened over the years, and I think it's good to have younger people be aware, that a lot of water has gone under the bridge. We see that the struggle for freedom, the struggle for liberation, in different ways, has been going on for centuries, and it continues to this day. So now we need to, keep dreaming, but keep fighting back. Keep struggling. Keep working on it. Working on trying to improve, the world we live in today, and at the same time working on improving ourselves, getting rid of our character defects, getting a hold on our shortcomings, and understanding that liberation is a process. It's not a final conclusion. It's a process. It has stages that it goes through. Sometimes our plans come closer to our calculations, and other times we see it further away. But it's always in a state of flux or a state of flow. Life goes on within you, Life surely goes on without you. So I see where, you know, Dr. King, you know, towards the end there was becoming more and more radicalized. Maybe he was just letting it come out more. I think he had a sense that his time was running out. So, you know, I supported Cesar Chavez, and along with Dr. King, you know, he supported a philosophy of nonviolence. And when I got involved, like with the Brown Berets, after a while I kind of got turned off to the nonviolent philosophy. I thought that it closed us in too much. You know, instead of exploring other tactics to be utilized in a given set of circumstances. So I'm not a philosopher of, or I am not an advocate of nonviolence. Yet neither am I an advocate of violence. You know, I'm an advocate of connected reality. So I'm going to try to clarify that. When ideally we want to have a legal, peaceful movement, you know, with flowers and rainbows and birds and all that good stuff. But in connected reality, that is not realistic. You know, we have to be prepared now to defend ourselves. We should be armed, you know, not just materially, but armed mentally, armed spiritually, so that we can stay alive, we can network with others, and we can continue on the struggle and evolve to the point where it's not only a struggle, but there's joy in it. You know, that, you know, we take joy that we're able to be aware and awake, sober, that we're able to educate to liberate, that we're able to network with other people. Now, of course, we have internet power, which we didn't have back in the day. And positive and negative there. Back in the day, for example, when we did petitions, you know, we did actual petitions, you know, with a clipboard, you know, out in the community. And we saw each other face to face. You know, we had many meetings, you know, maybe too many meetings. Yet we were all there in the flesh, you know, where we could have eye contact. We could touch each other, hug each other. And in a way that made for a stronger, cohesive movement. Now there's with the internet, you know, we have potential for global communication, yet there's also that danger of isolation, you know, where we're not really integrated with our local community as much as we could be. Excuse me. Keep forgetting to turn off that air conditioner. So we see where there's kind of an online caste of people, C-A-S-T-E, like a subclass of those who have internet access and those who tend to be more aware. You know, I get a lot of my news from Twitter, and you can follow certain correspondents. So many times, you know, we can confuse our personal consciousness, our personal level of awareness, you know, with what's happening on the street level. And on the street level, there's a vast difference between the consciousness on the street level and consciousness that you may find among online activists. So we need to be aware of that. You know, understand that there's still a lot of basic educational work that needs to be done in terms of community education, in terms of promoting literacy, reading and writing, and in terms of creating communes, central city communes, where we can have shared housing situations, you know, to survive on a day-to-day basis, and so we can become more stronger as a family of humanity. So we got to remember, you know, the positive advancements that have been made in the past. You know, the Black Panther Party had a big impact on me personally. You know, Brother Huey P. Newton, you know, Brother Bobby Seale, met Bobby Seale once, and we got to look at the dangers that we face, including, you know, the distractions of sex, music, and drugs. You know, look what happened to Brother Huey. You know, he had a sad ending. You know, look at Malcolm X, for that matter, being killed by supposedly his own people. You know, who killed Martin Luther King? No, I don't think it's all settled. The point is that a lot has happened, and a lot has not been saved because, remember, we didn't have the internet back then. You know, we didn't have YouTube, and so a lot has been lost, and a lot lives on in the memories of old farts like me, and I hope other people who were around, you know, around my age, you know, take the time to record stuff, take the time to write stuff down, type stuff up, you know, because a lot of what we went through was history, and was able to provide us with lessons that we can learn now. Like the War on Poverty days, you know, we would have an issue would come up, and we would sit around like with a chalkboard, and yeah, we had a chalkboard with real chalk, you know, and plan of action. We would develop a plan of action of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. Who, what, when, where, why. We'd write that down, and then we kind of get a basic plan of action for a community project or a community activity. You know, so a lot has happened, a lot has not happened. So I say we need to keep dreaming, and at the same time keep working. You know, working on ourselves. There's 7 billion people on Earth. There's no reason why whole situation should have been developed a lot more farther than it has so far. You know, there have been internal and external contradictions, internal and external attacks upon the movement. You know, all the negativism, all the divisions that come from sexism, nationalism, racism, you know, all the stuff that I in general call negativism, the darkness. You know, it's an ancient war between the powers of the light and the powers of the darkness. And this is going to go on. You know, revolution is not going to happen this Friday at 5 o'clock. And remember, I lived through the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s. You know, so I've seen a lot of movements come and a lot of movements go. I've seen a lot of fascist schemes that came down that were able to distract us, you know, to tear us away from our vision. You know, I remember the original vision of the Black Panther Party was, you know, to serve the people and to help raise their consciousness in the direction of revolution. So, study what you can. I say study the history of the Black Panther Party, and study history as a guide to action, not as a blueprint. You know, we're at the point now with the way Earth is in such danger that we may never even see a revolution in our lifetime. But I want to die fighting for one. I'm not going to lay down and put up with the fascist crap that's going on now. You know, the U.S. has no business going into Syria. You know, that could be a whole chemical weapons, a false flag. Remember Iraq? And so, you know, we still remain an endangered species. You know, so let's remember what we can from those who have come before us, and not stand on their shoulders, but stand on our own 2 feet. And realize that this is a process of liberation that involves helping to create global liberation as we work on our own inner spiritual liberation.